basically, so here's my backpack that I have so far. I actually got it from the zoo the last time we went. It's pretty convenient, and I think I'm actually going to keep mine. I don't know if I'm going to upgrade to the new one that we got, because it fits everything I have in there pretty nicely. It's fairly comfortable and easy to carry for myself. But some of the things that I've added on to mine, I'm going to go through and show you now. Okay, so it basically, you know, in my kit, I'm going to carry the meds. Obviously, my kids aren't going to carry meds. But there's things that you want to have. So I had a little pill kit, and I actually put, it's like kids ibuprofen and then a lead in the other side. So that way, if you have an issue, it's taken care of. And then I also put in here artificial tears. Again, like I said, we're talking about a fire in this situation. So, you know, smoke, the wind, things like that are going to bother you. And I just thought it was convenient to have it. But another reason I did it is because my husband had PRK. And so he's a little bit more sensitive to the elements and things like that when it comes to allergies in his eyes. So it's just convenient to have. Another thing in my kit is arnica. My kids take arnica. We don't really do a lot of kids ibuprofen. So for, you know, when they're getting a headache or minor bruising and things like that, this is what we use. You can get this at Whole Foods. Trader Joe's might carry it or might not. We get it at Natural Grocers. And then I also have matches in here, just in case. And then I have, and this is kind of, you know, any boys that are watching, you can close your eyes during this part, but, you know, we have the female stuff. So, you know, be prepared. You don't want to be out there and, you know, have a mess or whatever. And another thing that, you know, you need to remember is, and I know this may sound silly, but, you know, triage. These things can be used if there is an injury. So if somebody, you know, gets a bloody nose, you've got a tampon. If somebody cuts themselves, you know, you've got a pad and it can be used as gauze. So I know it might sound kind of gross and creepy, but I mean, we're talking about an emergency situation. So let's all be fairly mature. I know it's not my thing, but for this situation, we're going to do it. We also have a compass, and I forgot to mention this previously, but this was in my youngest daughter's, her bag, and I don't even remember where we got this, but she likes it. But basically, it has like, it's a ruler and a compass. It's basically what it is. But you know, for an emergency situation, it'd be good to have, and I'll go into that in just a few minutes when I talk about things I want to add on to my kit. Last but not least, important paperwork. So again, as a military family, I carry this with me everywhere. It has my important paperwork, and I probably shouldn't necessarily be showing this to the entire world. But Red Cross basically says that you should make copies of all of these things. I'm a little bit leery about that because we've had issues with things like that. So I made sure to this is always in a place where it can be reached in an emergency. I'm actually purchasing a fire safe, a portable fire safe, and that will go with the place where we store our 48-hour bags. Everything that I need is in here. So things that you should think of are, you know, obviously birth certificates, social security cards, our passports are in here, but also things like, you know, military spouses. If your soldier is deployed, you're going to need POA, you're going to need will, you're going to need information on the battalion and things like that. So FRG information should go in here as well, because if I'm the only adult and something happens to me, my kids need to know who to contact. And again, I'm not talking about like, you know, crazy end of world type of stuff, but I mean, just be prepared, have it in here, keep it safe, and keep it with you at all times. If you prefer to make copies of what you have and keep it in a smaller container, I totally understand and I agree with that. Try to get something. They have these all over the place, and you can even get them at freaking Goodwill. You know, it's like a plastic laminated type of thing, and then it slips into your emergency kit, and you're good to go. One more thing that I do want to show you, though, and something that was mentioned, and I'll look over and see if it actually says in here, but it's pictures of your kids. So, you know, not everybody has an emergency plan. We have an emergency plan, but we don't talk about it every 3 days. So, you know, people are going to get confused. Things happen. You exit out of different areas, or you're in different areas when disaster strikes. So I have, well, I guess I shouldn't show it. I have 2 pictures of my kiddos, my younger 2. I need to add a picture actually of all of us. I'm going to put a picture of all of us in here. So, so that we have it. It's just good to have. Okay, so that all goes together. Put all this away. Okay, so really quick, why don't we just go ahead and talk about some of the things you probably noticed that I don't have in here. One of the things I really want is an all-weather radio. I've been wanting one for a long time, a hand crank one or something like that that I can, it's portable and I can put into my pack would make me feel really good. So hint, hint, maybe for my anniversary, I guess, which is kind of lame. Maps. I tried 2 different places to pick up maps. Strangely enough, our PX didn't carry maps of the Colorado Springs area, but if I wanted to go to Denver or Abilene, we were good to go. So good to have. And one of the reasons why is because your GPS might not work. The GPS on your phone might not work. I know everybody has a fancy schmancy app phone or whatever. You're not guaranteed that you're going to have access to that. But even if those things do work, our situation here, when the fire hopped the ridge and it got into the neighborhoods, evacuations, the information was coming out quicker than media could cover it, basically. So there are streets that are blocked off and you need to know how to get out of here, or your neighborhood or whatever. You need to have a map with you. You can see that. We're military. We move all the time. So like, for instance, you know, I haven't even been here 6 months yet. If I had to find an alternate route that out of my neighborhood, I might not know that. Again, I'm really bad with street names too. So I'm like, you know, go to the corner, go to the 3rd stop sign, whatever. That's how I give directions. So having a map just makes sense. We have a huge atlas, but that's not going to fit in my pack, and I'm not going to carry that with me. So street maps of your area are just good to have. Not just street maps of, you know, your general area, but, you know, a state map is good to have as well. You don't know how far the evacuation zone is going to be in your situation. Another thing, we're campers. Well, we're like, you know, sort of campers. So we have camp gear. So what I actually ended up doing is moving all of my camp gear down from its perch, because we tend to put that stuff up. It's where I can get to it. I went through it and made sure everything in there was, you know, batteries weren't old, all of that stuff, blankets, tents, all of that stuff was in there and accounted for, things that I need, and took out the stuff that I don't need for emergency situations, and that's just going to go in a separate container. And then when we do go camping and those are items we need, then I'll put them in there. It's no big deal. But if you're not campers, think about just getting a small box that has maybe a tent in it, a sleeping bag, like get a pot from the Goodwill. That's where mine came from. I've used it for like 3 years. Just a small, just think of what you would do when you would go camping, just a small thing, and then you can have that, and it's in a small box, maybe throw extra waters in there, and you can grab it if you have time to evacuate. That's what we did, and so now I know if I have 20 minutes that I need to go out, I've talked to the kids, we've kind of got it set down, and we know exactly how it's going to go, so I have time to throw that stuff in our trailer and hook up the trailer and go. Again, not everybody has that. And of course, if it's an emergent situation, you're not going to do that. But I mean, I'm talking about a situation where you have time to evacuate. It's good to have, and that way you know that you'll have basically the necessities that you need, a little bit more than you can carry in your pack. Let me see. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Here. I'll put down anything that I think I've missed later. Oh, one last thing I want to talk about was a pet kit. So we have pets. We love our pets. We want our pets to be safe. Of course, they're going to come with us. I haven't made my pet kit, and the only reason being is because, well, for one reason is we have things like extra food and water for our dogs already in the car. They've already got bowls and stuff. It's already in there. It's in our car. But I realize that I'm not always going to be able to leave in my car. So we are making a pet kit. And another reason is because we just had guinea pig babies. And so we're kind of, I wasn't exactly sure how big of a kit to make is really what it is. But I will be making just a small one today so that we have it. And I'm going to grab the container really quick. So if you don't have, if you're a family of 5 and then you have pets, you may not have an extra bag or whatever. I found this really handy. So these are, you know, the plastic pouches that like sheets and blankets and stuff come in. So it works out really well, and you can see what's in it. So when you're leaving, you can see, oh my gosh, Little's missing her leash. So we need to, make sure that's in there. We know that it's not in there, whatever, for whatever reason. And so that's kind of why I liked it for the pet kit. So we can look in there and make sure that we have food is in there, water is in there, necessities are in there, their lovey is in there, whatever, and you're good to go. All right. I know I'm saying a lot, but I'm just trying to get through this and make sure that I don't really miss anything. And switch out your kit every 6 months is what I would say as far as food and things like that. A lot of the things that you put in there are non-perishables, but some of it just shouldn't sit in your bag for 100 years and then you use it, when you do have an emergency, and it's disgusting. One of the things that, if you're someone who's a little bit more organized, I've already actually written it on my calendar. I'm not that organized, but I just went ahead and wrote it on my calendar so I would remember. So basically what's going to happen is in about 6 months, I'm going to take out the food that's in there. I'm basically going to put it with the kids' lunch stuff, and then I'm going to take some stuff from their lunch stuff and put it back into their kit. And so it might be something, it might not always be the same thing, but you're going to want to stick to the generals. Make sure that you have, like a dinner, some snacks, cracker soups, beef jerky, things of that nature. And I'm basically going to be adding to my kit every payday. Like I think I mentioned that in the beginning. So each payday I'm going to try to add to something I want. Oh, and the last thing, cash. You need to have cash on you. It's really hard. I know that we're all on a budget. The economy sucks, whatever. But if you can, really try each payday, make it a priority. Make your bags a priority, but also make having cash. You should just have cash in the house anyways, for an emergency. So I have a set amount that I'm going to do or try to do basically each payday, to make sure that I have, enough. And each family is different. Each person is different. I'm going to, I have a goal that I'm going to try to shoot for, and I hope I get there. If I do, great. But it's just good to have. You never know what's going to happen. It's just a good rule of thumb to have cash on hand and to have your gas tank at least half full. And those are the two things that I try to do, as a mature adult or whatever, as someone here that, I'm taking care of my kids, you need to try to do that. So that's something to strive for. Try to keep your gas tank half full and try to have cash on you at all times. Of course, don't be flashy with it. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and link up, where my list is. Oh, that's not it. So one very last thing is, since we didn't stick exactly to the Red Cross list because there are things that we were missing or whatever, we made, this is a handwritten list. I'm going to type it out, but this is what I have for now. We made a list of everything that we put in the bag, and then we kind of used this as a checklist. So we actually did my youngest daughter's bag first, and as we packed it, we made notes, and we used this as the guide for each next bag. Obviously, mine's a little different, and we notated that, this goes in mom's or adult's bag or whatever. I would definitely keep this in both adults' bags. So type it up, make it look neat, put it maybe with the important paperwork stuff, and that way what's in there. I mean, because I don't know about you, but, I'm going to sleep and I'm going to forget half the stuff I put in there. So make sure that you know that what's in there. So if there's anything you need to throw in there as the weeks progress or whatever. And you have a guide to go on in 6 months, again, when you're switching things out or doing seasonal changes, whatever. But that way you just know you don't have to dig through the whole entire thing. Okay, that's about it. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them on my blog. If you have any